Hello and welcome to our second video on how to ask for a pay rise. And I know what you're already thinking. Yes, Emma, all very well, the things you talked about in video one, but what do I say? What are the words that I need to use? And we will dive into that later on in this video this morning. So let's just recap. In video one, we said that we find it difficult to have conversations around pay rises because money is a volatile thing to talk about. It brings up all kinds of stuff in us when we have to ask about money. And we fear the rejection. We fear a straight out no. We fear being less valued than we feel that we are. And we fear our own and the other person's emotion. But if we're prepared mentally and in terms of what we're going to say, then the outcome is much more likely to match with our desired results. So we need to start with the end in mind. What is our end game? What do we really, really want? And I hope now you've thought about that and you're super clear. You've got real specifics about what you want and what you're prepared to let go of and what you're not prepared to let go of. Because if you've decided before we go into this conversation, we're going to look and sound so much more assertive because our brain thinks we've done it before. I hope that you've started to think about who it is you're going to be speaking to. So what are their drivers? What's their personality? What's their relationship? So that you can be formal or informal. You can be more emotional or more data-based or more evidence-based, whatever it might be, depending on that other person, so that you are appealing to their best self, their sense of self. And once we've done all of that, then we can start to think about contingency planning. So what might this person do? Because if you've thought about how they might react, you're going to be much better prepared for when they do react. So might they go very quiet? Might they become a bit passive aggressive? Might they become outwardly aggressive? Might they just be super kind? And it's like wrestling a cloud. Actually, that's the hardest one to deal with, but it is absolutely possible. But if you start to contingency plan, what will I do if they say this? What will I do if they say that? What will I do if they say why? Then your brain will practice that in sort of because you visualized it. So it thinks it's a memory. So if you've done it before, your brain will go, oh yeah, when it happens, we did this before. I can do this thing here, and you'll stay much, much calmer because you've thought through. So really understanding who it is you're talking to is important. But I know you're still desperate to know what it is that you really need to say. So I want to caveat this before I go through the process, because in communication, there is no one size fits all, right? People are different. You are different on a different day. So this is a format, it's a structure, but you will need to take it and adapt it for you and the other person that you're talking to. So you might need to jig the order around. You might need to add in extra layers, but this is a kind of a good basis point to start from. So number one, the first thing you need to communicate to the person that you're asking a pay rise for is you are on board with the mission. You love the job, you love what you're doing, you love the project, you love being part of this team, you love the organisation, whatever it is, whatever is true, don't lie, but whatever is true, show that you are on board with the mission. Because it can feel like to the other person, if you're coming in and asking for a pay rise, that you are not on board with what's going on in the team and what's going on with the organisation. So show that you are on board to start with, yeah? Now, this next bit is relationship dependent. It depends on your relationship with the other person. But most people don't like feeling ambushed. And if you just turn up, make this appointment, you come in and you haven't warned them in any way that this is going to be a potentially stretchy conversation for you both, they can feel ambushed. So one of the things that I used to do was say, listen, this is going to be a little bit of a difficult conversation, but we're both adults and I know that our relationship is strong and we can deal with this together. You know, I really need your help with something. So, or I've got a bit of a challenge for you, depending on who you're talking to. You might change the language around there, but I would do some form of warning them that this is going to be a stretchy conversation. And then as we did the on board with the mission, you're going to do on board with them as a boss. So find something that is true for you, that you value in them. I really value how you're really honest with me. I really value how you've helped me do X, Y, and Z. I really value how you do this for the team. And I would like to know what you value about me in the team and get them to talk about something about you that they value. So it sets up the tone of the conversation. Now, this is where you're going to say, okay, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate the comments that you just made about my input here. Now, this point, you might want to say, I don't know if you know this, but I am feeling that I'm being underpaid. I'm being undervalued within the team. And what I would like is state the number that you've been practicing, state the number that you've thought about before, and make sure you do practice saying it out loud. And in fact, one of the tricks I give people is to say the number, a higher number. So let's just pick a number. You say you want £20,000. Practice saying 25. You want £55,000. Practice saying 75. If you want 150, practice saying 200,000. So that when you say the actual number, it'll feel like nothing. So practice saying the number. So when you say it, you're saying it without emotion. I want £150,000 and I'm currently on X. That's a such and such pay rise. So be very, very clear. And then what you want to do, once you've stated exactly what it is that you want, you say, I would like to explore how we can resolve this situation together. Now, this is really important because it's putting you and them against the problem of your pay rise. Not that you become the problem because you want a pay rise. So I want to explore how we can resolve this and sort it out together. So that's stage 4. So state what you want. Sorry, that's stage 5. So state what you want is stage 4. Stage 5 is explore and resolve together. And then finally, stage 6 is having a timeline in your head. So know that whoever you're speaking to probably can't resolve it in this meeting, right? They're going to have to go away. They're going to have to talk to other people. It's possible that they might be able to, but most people will need to go away and discuss it with someone else, or they're going to need to go away and consult budgets, or they're going to have to move some money around, whatever it might be. But have a very clear timeline in your head of what's acceptable. When shall we meet next? Shall we meet? How long do you need to kind of go through this? 2 weeks, a week, 10 days? You decide what's going to work with your relationship with that person, with the scenario, but make sure you get a date in the diary for the next stage of the discussion so that it doesn't drift, because it's so easy to let these things drift. Assume that it's high on their list of priorities when it isn't, because it's high on your list. So make sure you get a next date in the diary, but be aware that these things cannot be resolved overnight on the whole. Now, so what have we talked about? It's really important in these pay rise discussions to realise that no one size fits all. So the things that I have suggested, you can take on board, but you're probably going to have to adapt them for you and the other person that you're talking to. Maybe warn them. Say, listen, this might be a little bit of a tricky conversation, but we're both adults. I know we can manage this. I've got a bit of a challenge for you. I need your help with something. Ask what you value. Tell them what you value in them and ask them what they value in you. Then state what you want. I'd like to talk about getting a pay rise. I understand my colleagues and my peers are being paid more than I am. I feel that, as you just said, I'm adding to the team, and I would like for us to explore how we can match my pay to the rest of the team, or whatever it might be, how we can raise my pay by X amount or raise my pay to this number. And make sure you're saying explore and resolve together. So it's you and them against the problem. And then have a very clear timeline in your head. When are you going to next meet once this discussion has continued? So I hope you found that really useful to start thinking about how you're going to structure what you're talking about. Now, in the next video, we're going to talk about how to troubleshoot. So how do we keep our calm? How do we keep our head? How do we keep our breathing, our body, the kinds of things that we're saying really in check and in line with us getting what we want during this conversation, and avoid things getting heated. Take care, and we'll speak really soon. Bye for now.